Picture a universe in which Wall Street is rocked by a shockwave of an absolutely astounding magnitude. It is so powerful that even the most seasoned traders stop dead in their tracks in the middle of their transactions, their eyes glued to the radiant displays of their Bloomberg terminals as an abrupt, explosive alarm echoes throughout the global financial network. This is the speculative scenario that is the source of the warning that the XRP valuation model that was recently published by a senior analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence is so astronomically bullish that the research note is said to disappear from the servers mere minutes after it goes live, leaving only fragments, screenshots, and cached images drifting through insider channels like forbidden artifacts. The rumor is disseminated in a matter of moments by the workers of hedge funds in hushed tones, by encrypted Telegram groups that are teeming with whale wallets, and by secret discords where traders with liquidity pools valued at 10 figures plot their maneuvers in quiet. Although the primary assertion made by the rumor is uncomplicated, it has the possibility to undermine the established foundations of accepted facts. The classification of XRP as a cryptocurrency or as a speculative token is not supported by the model that was created by the analyst. On the other hand, it is categorized as an equity token in a global payment network, which is a term that is so infrequently used that it leads to investors becoming paralyzed when they seek to understand the implications of handling a digital asset in this manner, as if it were an investment in the framework for settlement that covers the entire planet. In this fictitious story, the chart that is associated with the model exhibits an S-curve that is so aggressive that it essentially cuts through the ceiling of the screen. The chart was created using network effect valuation and S-curve adoption modeling, the same frameworks that institutions used several decades ago to forecast the rise of the internet, the growth trajectory of mobile networks, and the scaling of trillion-dollar artificial intelligence platforms. The quantity of XRP that would be represented by a mere $60,000 is indeed astounding, according to the information that was published by the Whispers, a number of such a magnitude that it would be as if the entire world of digital assets collectively took a breath. Traders are currently performing a passionate online search for the cached chart, a presentation that features a Bloomberg terminal screen that is pitch black with lines that light a brilliant yellow and curve in a way that is suggestive of hyperbolic horizon marks. This presentation is meant to convey information about interbank flows, liquidity saturation points, and settlement velocity statistics. The idea that such a model existed, even for a short period of time, is enough to provoke an extreme reaction, which leads to the hypothesis that the report was not removed due to the fact that it was inaccurate, but rather because it was too disruptive, premature, or too financially destabilizing for the public to access. Once this information is disseminated across the financial industry, the psychological impact will become beyond dispute. The process of leaving almost no retracements begins as whale wallets begin to consume liquidity from exchanges and huge blocks. The wallets are not only accumulating, as analysts in this speculative atmosphere have pointed out, they have the impression that they are advancing in the face of an emerging institutional narrative that is being substantiated not via the use of persuasion or marketing, but rather through the world's most costly information service. The rumor is still gaining momentum. The position held by a number of insiders is that the model that the analysts developed was based on the following assumptions: the complete adoption of global banking, the establishment of connections between central banks and real-time liquidity hubs, the utilization of on-demand settlement by corporate treasury networks as opposed to accounts that are funded in advance, and the collapse of cross-border corridors into a unified liquidity mesh in which XRP serves as the connective tissue. In the context of this hypothetical issue, the model illustrates the consequences that arise from the following scenario. 80% of settlements that occur around the world stop relying on nostro accounts that are capital-intensive and delayed, and is making progress in establishing a framework that is founded on the prompt resolution of conflicts. As a consequence of this, the valuation is not predicated in any way on conjecture. Instead, it is founded on the volume of throughput, the mathematical ramifications of replacing financial plumbing that has not been updated in 50 years, and a variety of other considerations. The point at which traders begin to grasp this transition is the point at which they stop viewing XRP as a financial investment and instead start viewing it as a form of access to a worldwide payments engine. It is comparable to having an ownership stake in the framework that maintains liquidity on a worldwide scale. As the story that exists only in one's imagination continues to unfold, the feeling of anxiety that accompanies it becomes stronger. After having seen the chart, individuals were able to visualize in their imaginations the faces of the people who had betrayed the institution. A few of the other individuals were taken aback, some found themselves laughing uncomfortably, and many more people voiced skepticism about whether or not they were actually observing a problem with the system, as numbers that huge are seldom observed except in the context of theoretical modeling. Nevertheless, the element of the rumor that is the most persuasive is not the figure itself. On the other hand, the most important fact is that the report disappeared, was wiped, was eliminated, and is no longer in existence. Many people consider this removal to be more significant than the actual publication of the study. Were there any inaccuracies there in it? Was it ahead of its time? Or was it a forecast that was only meant for those black card members who were willing to pay a $25,000 annual fee in order to gain access to it? The assumption evolves into a conflagration all its own. The matter is brought up by specialists during their live streams, and influencers in the cryptocurrency community begin to make references to the breach. As the number of whale transactions increases, the patterns they generate increasingly resemble coordinated accumulation, leading to the sense that they are preparing for a revolution in liquidity that no one would want to miss. The story is becoming more and more complicated, and it is becoming more detailed and dramatic. The model's adoption curve was so steep that there are some who argue that this was the result of the presumption that there would be interoperability between digital currencies, central bank digital currencies, stablecoins, and cross-border rails. This would lead to a future in which everything settles immediately, everything converts without any problems, and XRP functions as the universal settlement intermediary. Some people have speculated about the notion that this model takes into consideration the constraints on velocity, institutional custody locking away supply, banks holding large pools of XRP for liquidity management, a decrease in circulating supply, and, of course, the rising price brought about by straightforward supply and demand mechanisms. As the hours pass, the rumor is transformed into a legendary story. Conversations between investors bring up the repercussions of the scenario. What might an asset that is valued at tens of thousands of dollars look like? What steps could be taken in order to maintain liquidity? What steps are the foreign regulatory bodies expected to take? Is it within the realm of possibility that a certain asset class might genuinely achieve such a substantial amount of growth? Nevertheless, it would seem that the conclusion is becoming increasingly and strongly related with the idea that this is not a price prediction within the confines of this fictional world. This appraisal is structural in nature, and it provides a blueprint for the way that the globe may seem if the infrastructure for settlement around the planet were to be completely redesigned from the ground up. The story, which lasts for a total of 80 minutes, ends with an impactful resolution that strikes with the power of a clap of thunder. It brings along with it the realization that when Bloomberg, the platform that is utilized by the largest institutions on the planet, speaks a word, even if it is only in a hypothetical context, it carries a significance that cannot be rivaled by any amount of hype generated on social media. And if, even for a few moments, the internal modeling of this project revealed a future in which 60,000 XRP was not a fantasy but rather a logical endpoint of international adoption curves, then the story is not only a rumor, it is a narrative shift, a transformation of one's perspective, a shift in the manner in which individuals on a worldwide scale conceptualize and manage monetary matters. In this imagined situation that is dramatic in nature, the message becomes clear when the financial intelligence network that is considered to be the most highly regarded, the most expensive, and the most costly network on the entire planet makes an allusion to the possibility that XRP may reach unprecedented heights that no one had the bravery to even bring up. This is not an attempt to generate excitement for something, nor is it a ploy to get people to click on a link. It is a forecast of what will happen in the future. A person who has the ability to initiate the next phase of accumulation, hypothesis, and belief.